The sea is hazardous to both life and health of seafarers because of its unpredictability, both natural and man-made. Seafarers' lives are always at risk when the minimum working standards are not observed. Seafarers are also entitled to decent work. The Philippines has recently ratified the Maritime Labor Convention 2006 on August 20, 2012. This is in pursuit of its commitment to promote and protect the welfare of its seafarers, as well as to level the playing field for ship owners who provide decent work as part of their operations from unfair competition. The country's ratification of the MLC is of significant development for nearly 70,000 of its seafarers, as well as for the global and domestic shipping industry, as the Philippines supplies the majority of seafarers to the world's fleet with over 30% of the global supply of seafarers, and having a sizable domestic industry with about 40,000 domestic seafarers on board 4,679 Philippine-registered vessels. The ratification of the MLC by the Philippines is the output of an extensive consultation process with social partners and members of the Maritime Industry Tripartite Council. The Maritime Industry Tripartite Council, or MITC, serves as a forum through which labor, management, and government work together to address specific maritime labor and employment concerns. It also acts as an advisory body to industry stakeholders in terms of policies and programs affecting the labor and employment in the maritime industry. The Council was created in February 2011 from the engagement of the DOL with the labor and management sectors in the maritime industry, as well as other government agencies relevant to the sector. The MITC is assisted by 3 committees: the Domestic Seafaring Committee, Overseas Seafaring Committee, and the Port Workers Committee, which serve as technical working groups on issues and concerns affecting seafarers and port workers. In 2011, the MITC issued resolution numbers 2 and 3, which recommended the approval and issuance of DOL Department Order on the rules and regulations governing the employment and working conditions of domestic seafarers and the ratification of MLC by the President and for concurrence of the Philippine Senate. The resolution became instrumental to the processing of the ratification of the MLC. In 2012, the DOL, through the Institute for Labor Studies, in coordination with the Bureau of Working Conditions, conducted a forum involving maritime stakeholders in Visayas and Mindanao to present the findings of the Institute for Labor Studies research and identify areas for further research to improve the data on domestic seafarers that will serve as a reference for policy issuances and ratification purposes. In 2013, the Bureau of Labor Relations, in coordination with the ILO, conducted an advocacy and consultation workshop on the implementation of the MLC through national legislation and the DOL labor compliance system. The consultation workshop was an area-wide activity for all maritime stakeholders, including seafarers and representatives from training centers, maritime schools, and ship owners to participate in the discussions concerning the draft Magna Carta for seafarers. Also in attendance were representatives from Marina, CHED, TESDA, PRC, PCG, POEA, and legislative staff from the House of Representatives and the Senate of the Philippines. With the country as the 30th member state to ratify the MLC, the conditions for the entry into force of the convention have been fulfilled. The work for DOL and the national and regional MITCs is to prepare for the implementation of the convention. Significant measures to fulfill the requirements of the convention and address the gaps in compliance is on strengthening capabilities and mechanisms for implementation and the issuance of implementing guidelines on the enforcement of the convention. Among the initiatives done by the DOL before the MLC's entry into force are department orders on the rules and regulations governing the employment and working conditions of both domestic and international seafarers, as well as paving the way for legislation of a national law for implementation. Continuing efforts are being pursued not only by the DOL but its social partners to implement the MLC. The labor laws compliance system is an integrated framework of voluntary compliance and enforcement of labor laws and social legislations. The LLCS ensures compliance through joint assessment, compliance visits, occupational safety and health standards investigation. Under this program, establishments may acquire certificates of compliance through a joint assessment by DOL. For the first-year anniversary of the Maritime Labor Convention, the DOL will launch information, education, and communication materials specifically tailored for the maritime industry. These videos emphasize that decent work also applies to the industry and that with the ratification and implementation of the MLC, seafarers, ship owners, and manning agencies will be enlightened on what they are entitled to and what opportunities are available. With these innovations, the reach of the department's labor and employment education services becomes limitless, and it now contains information tailor-fit for the maritime industry.